What's up, guys? In today's Fan Friday, we're going to talk about your approach to training after your competition. On Wednesdays, I've been posting in my Instagram feed to ask me questions, and I select one question every single week, and this was the question that I selected this week. It was, curious as your thoughts to training approach post-contest and or meet, and that was from Genesis. So Genesis, thanks for your question. Now, I do have to admit, I made Genesis submit this question to me because I spent about 30 minutes talking to him in the gym prior, and I finally am making him get some of my information out there that I give to him for free in the gym. And he's coming off of a powerlifting meet, and I'm more or less coming off of a bodybuilding season, so I thought this was appropriate to talk about. Now, with bodybuilding and powerlifting, yes, they are two different sports, but the concept still remains the same, believe it or not. So I'm going to use myself and Genesis as our example, and that way you guys can do it for yourself. Now, we all know, at least those of you who have been following me, that, for example, my chest and my shoulders are a little bit weaker on my frame. Genesis has a really good deadlift, a so-so squat, and a good bench press. He just didn't perform well in the bench press at his meet as he wanted to. So we'll use myself as an example since I competed first last November. And after I competed, I did take time off, a little bit of time off from the gym, about a week, to let my body rest. Genesis more recently competed just a couple weeks ago. He took a few days off from the gym as well. So the first thing you have to do is take some time off to let your body rest. Secondly, you have to evaluate what you need to work on. So like I was saying, my chest and shoulders were a little bit of a weak point for me. Also my back, let's just be honest, like my arms and my legs are my two best points. So everything else needed work. I immediately went to work training chest and shoulders and back twice a week with intent. And I ended up splitting up my days for back to a vertical pull and a horizontal row, and I switched around my push days with chest and shoulders respectively. And that allowed me to focus on other things. Now, because I was focusing on that, I had to throw some other things out completely. So what did I throw out? I didn't train arms for about 3 months. And some of people, may think that's crazy, but obviously my arms are probably my best body part, and they didn't need any work. And I really don't train arms that much. I only recently started to train arms again over the past month or so. I didn't train arms for 3 months to allow me to focus on my chest and my shoulders. And now, yes, I still am sprinkling in some arm work, but it's still not a whole lot. Now, what I told Genesis from coming off of his meet was, since his deadlift is his best lift, he said, man, the program that he ran leading up to his meet, he thought his deadlift was money. And he thought that, man, maybe his bench press does need some work because he just didn't hit a new PR in the meet. And I told him, well, why don't you use what you learned in your deadlift program and incorporate that into your bench program? And he was like, oh man, that's a really good idea. So we have to evaluate what we need to work on, what worked for us in the past, and what we need to do in the future. So for myself, that meant, okay, why don't you throw out, working arms for a while so you could focus on your chest. But not only just doing chest a bunch, as doing chest with intent. So I dialed down the weights, and I'm focusing really on contracting the muscle properly, getting rid of my front delt in my movements. So if you're out there, if you're coming off of a bodybuilding competition, I would look at your stage pictures and self-evaluate them, yes, but maybe get somebody else to look at them, somebody with a little bit more experience to tell you what you need to work on. Yes, take in consideration the judge's feedback, and then get to work. What worked for you in the past as far as muscle growth, and use that for the body parts that need to be brought up. If you're a power lifter out there like Genesis, and he said, man, you know, I really enjoyed the percentage is working up in my deadlift. And I told him, well, why don't you use that same percentage or rough scheme for your bench press? And he, through some convincing, decided that that may be the best route to take. So whether you're coming off of a bodybuilding show or a powerlifting meet, you have to consider, you know, what worked for you in the past, what's paid off, what you need to work on, and how you're going to start to implement that. So does that mean dialing back your frequency on certain things? Does that mean switching around your percentages when it comes to a certain lift? You know, there can be a bunch of different things that you can incorporate, but there has to be a program set in place. And this is what I'm going to finish with, is over the past couple weeks, Genesis has felt a little bit lost because he hasn't been doing a set program. And especially powerlifters are used to a very set program, very structured program, by the numbers. And I told him the best thing that we can do coming off of a contest right away is to have some kind of a structured program that you're going to jump into. Not a program necessarily that you're going to be setting PRs, and this is for both people. This is for powerlifters and for bodybuilders. You don't need to set PRs right out of the gate. You just need a nice program where you could build momentum, and that's what I told him. And that's what I think a lot of people miss the boat on, is after a contest, especially a bodybuilding contest when we're even in a deficit, you know, we are primed, yes, for fat gain, but also for muscle growth. So if we are on a semi-easier program that we could, you know, put one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and that way you could gain some strength back, that's a great way to gain momentum in an off season, rather than coming into the gym and being lost and, you know, seeing our physiques kind of dwindle in front of us and being ashamed of what we're doing and then not wanting to come in more. The same thing can be said for Genesis. He's been kind of meandering around the gym, and I told him just to get on some kind of a 4-week program for himself and put that into place, something that's going to be a little bit easier, and that way he could gain some confidence and he could gain some strength and move into eventually a heavier block. But you need to start somewhere, and developing a program right out of a competition is going to be key. So Genesis, thanks for your fan submitted video. Until next time, guys, keep crushing it.